Hi, Chris here with MuseGrid, and this is our final buttons set that we're creating, and this one's called Neutrals. So let's pull the pack onto the page and let's take a look at how these are created. So let's just lock down this background here and right click and lock and hit preview, and let's take a look. So with this set of buttons, we've got this nice, very subtle effect here. We've got these nice ghost buttons and these nice lightish buttons, and you can see that when we hover over, we've got that nice effect. So really nice for a flat kind of UI, and they particularly work well on background gradients. So let's see how they are put together. Now, as per usual, our button starts with a text frame with all of its padding and spacing set up. So we've got quite a lot of padding and spacing. I'm using quite a small text size here, 12, and we're using just a slightly off-white color. So it's not quite white, so it's just slightly off-white. So we're using this off-white that matches the gradient. So you'd want to use a slightly different off-white if you're using a different gradient. We've got a stroke on the button as well, and we've set the stroke to inset, and you'll see why that is when we take a look at these next buttons down here as well. But we've set the ghost button shape on the outside, the stroke to 1 pixel, and on the inside. And again, it's not a full white. It's a tint of this background color here, just so that it matches in and feels very complementary. Then on the hover state, you can see that we're using a white fill, but we've set the color to 19% opacity. So then it pulls through the background color of whatever the gradient is. And then in order to match the stroke up, because the stroke needs to sit on both the normal state and the rollover state, as we've mentioned before in other videos, if you want to have a nice smooth transition, you need to make sure that things like strokes and shadows and that exist on all the different states. Even if you set them to an opacity of 0 or 1, you still need them to be there. So we've got this stroke sitting on the second, on the rollover, not the second, sorry, the rollover state. But in order to get it to match in, what we've done is we've changed this background to the 19% opacity white, and then we've used that color picker tool to just select that color to make the stroke match in perfectly with that color. Now down here with these buttons, when we go to our rollover color, you can see that the color is slightly darker, because although we're using a 19% opacity, because the background is darker, this color is now darker, and so we've used the color picker again to choose the rollover stroke color to make it match in nicely. So as you're working down your gradient, you would need to just change the colors to match in, but it's still a really easy technique. So we've got our text button with the spacing, we've got our rollover state, which has got the background fill set to an opacity of 19. You can choose whatever you like, but we're choosing 19. And then in order to get the stroke matched up, we're using the color picker. So let's see what happens now. If I unlock this background and let's change the gradient to, let's say, for instance, let's say we changed it to this gray here to, let's just make this a bit darker here. So add a bit of shade to that. Okay, so now if we preview, we can see that you can just about see the stroke there is not quite the right color. So let's change that. So in our normal state, let's choose, we want this to be more of a blue color, so I'm going to choose that blue, and then I'm going to bring my slider up here, and let's just bring that up. So it's just slightly off that color there. Then we're going to go to our normal state, our rollover state, sorry, and we can see that we've got the blue shining through there, the dark blue, So in order to choose our stroke color to match it, what we're going to do is we're going to just select that there. And you can see now that's gone from a brown to a bluish color. And now if we preview this particular button, we can see that the stroke now matches in perfectly with the color there. So that's how we created that. Now the other thing that we've done on these buttons is we're using a transition speed of 0.4. You could slow that down if you wanted to make the fade even more prominent. But then, yeah, so we've just slowed that right down there. So we've got this nice fade in and fade out. And as you can see, because we haven't changed the color here, let's go and change that stroke color to match that in as well. So let's choose that there, and let's bring this lightness up a bit. Okay, so that's fine there. We'll probably, if we add this color to our color palette as well, that will mean that we can use that same color for the text really easy. So I've added that color there, and we can use that for the text there. And then when we go to our rollover state, we've got that 19% opacity there, and then we're going to choose our color picker for the stroke and just choose that color, and we can see the colors change there. And now when we preview, we can see that we get that nice effect there. The other thing that we're going to do is on the rollover state, let's make this text white. Okay, I don't want to publish. Let's go to preview, refresh. So now we've got that nice, that really makes it stand out. And you can see because we've got that stroke on the inside, we don't have any kind of pixel discrepancy where it appears to resize, but that fade in really is nice and subtle, but really nice effect. And again, all created with Muse. So that was our final button tutorial for this particular pack of buttons. Hope you've enjoyed learning how to create these buttons, and use these techniques in all of your other composition widgets. You can use the same techniques to create really nice looks to your UIs for all of your different parts of your site. So thanks for watching this series of videos, and thanks for being a MuseGrid customer. Bye for now, and see you soon.